Volkswagen's improved Tiguan Allspace 7-seat SUV gets revised design, extra control and assist systems and new premium features. And of course it's still as practical as ever. Could it be all the car you'll ever really need? Potential buyers will probably see this model in just that way.
So, welcome to this improved version of the Tiguan Allspace, that stalwart of the school run, the 21st century idea of the uber complete family car. Volkswagen hasn't changed anything about the way this updated model drives, and it hasn't changed much in terms of what lies beneath the bonnet either, though the 2-litre TDI diesel engine that most customers will still want now gain the brands of more efficient twin dosing technology. And it can now all be paired to the freshly developed tech like the Travel Assist, semi-autonomous driving system and IQ Light Intelligent Matrix LED headlights. As before, a typical customer will probably prioritise refinement, comfort and a little surprisingly, if the sales numbers are to be believed, four-wheel drive. Up to 2/3 of buyers order their cars with the 4Motion system. 4Motion gets you a useful range of driving modes and is mandatory, as is DSG auto transmission with the fastest engines, the 2-litre TDI 200 PS diesel and the 2-litre TSI petrol, the later unit available either in 190 PS as here or with 245 PS. 4Motion is optional on the best-selling unit in the range, the 2-litre TDI 150 PS diesel, though if you do without it, you'll have a chance to match the efficient-sounding returns of that base front-drive diesel variant, up to 53.3 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and up to 140 grams per kilometre of CO2. An increasing number of customers, though, are sticking with the base 1.5 TSI 150 PS petrol engine, which only comes front driven, but we can have with the manual or auto transmission. Whatever Tiguan Allspace engine you prefer, as we suggested earlier, a really dynamic driving experience won't usually be on the agenda. But there's lots of clever tech, including, on pricier models, the brand's latest Travel Assist system, which can take over partial control of the car to make highway and urban driving that bit easier. In Allspace form, this Tiguan ought to be just slightly bigger, which of course it is, but somehow the changes made in creating this larger model have created something more. A model with the demeanour of a slightly larger SUV. This is the Tiguan, all grown up. Something that, of course, you can best appreciate from a profile perspective. This revised model gains an extra 27mm of length to add to the 215mm of additional length this 7-seater variant enjoys over the ordinary Tiguan. As before, from this central B pillar backwards, everything's been redesigned to allow for an extra 106mm between the black plastic trim wheel arches, these housing rims of either 18, 19 or, as in this case, 20 inches of size. The bodywork of this bigger variant follows a different contour from that of the standard model, and the rear part of the side window design features a sharper curve upwards where it rises directly behind the C-pillar. The roof's different too, featuring its own set of structural lines and framed by these standard silvered roof rails. Time to take a look inside. Often with a Volkswagen, it's the cabin that really sells the car to you. Is that the case here? Well, it's certainly difficult to fault with a premium style feel that remains just a touch nicer than most obvious rivals in this segment. You sit quite commandingly, and as before, the build quality and general ergonomics are difficult to fault. Changes made to this updated model include a smarter climate module and introduction of a rather fiddly sliders for the fan and temperature control. There is also big improvements in the media connectivity, thanks to the incorporation of Volkswagen's latest MIB3 technology for this central screen, normally 8 inches in size as here, but upgraded to 9.2 inches on request. Either way, you get the online connectivity unit with an integrated eSIM that allows access into a whole new generation of in-car connectivity through Volkswagen's WeConnect media setup. The 3-spoke wheel with its touch-sensitive buttons is new too, and through it you view this customisable Digital Cockpit Pro 10.25-inch screen, which now across the range replaces the conventional dials. All well and good, but you'll really want to know is just how much difference the lengthened Allspace design makes in terms of what you get further back. It's time to see. We'll start with the impact on passenger space and passenger access. That's aided hugely by these much longer rear doors. Most of the time, of course, the folks you're carrying will want to take a pew here in the middle row, where Volkswagen says they'll enjoy 54mm more knee room than you get in the ordinary Tiguan. That's assuming this rear bench is set in the correct position. As in the ordinary model, it can slide backwards or forwards over a range of 180mm. Headroom isn't too bad either. So, what about the third row seating? Bigger mid-side SUVs and this one offer fold-out luggage area seating that's distinctly cramped, so our spatial expectations weren't great. Sure enough, if you pull up the shoulder catch to reach the very back and push the second row forward, you'll be accessing a necessarily rather restricted space. Volkswagen suggests that this area is ideally suited to folk of less than 5 feet 2 inches in height, children in other words. All well and good, but that's most potential owners will want this third row seating for. But given that remit, you have to wonder why the brand has forgotten something as fundamental as fitment of an ISO-fixed child seat fastening back here. Should you really draw the short straw and be confined back here as an adult, then as usual in the mid-size 7-seat SUV you'll find that the high floor line necessitated by having to make space for a four-wheel drive system means that your knees will be a little uncomfortably positioned up towards your chest. Still, if those in the middle row can be persuaded to push their bench forward, it'll be bearable back here for fully sized folk on short trips. Okay, so we've covered the additional room that this bigger all-space body style frees up for people, but what about packages? Once the hatch is raised, the room you'll have to play with depends of course on whether the third row chairs are upright. If they are, you'll have 230 litres of carriage space. If you need more room, then folding these third row chairs into the floor is easy using the provided shoulder catches, providing the second row seats aren't pushed all the way back. Once you've done that, you'll have up to 700 litres of space to play with, 84 more litres than you'd get in the similarly configured boot of an ordinary Tiguan. If you need to flatten the middle backrest, then you can do it by using these neat latches on each sidewall on each side of the cargo bay. That frees up to 1,775 litres of space, 120 litres more than an ordinary Tiguan can offer. As with the ordinary Tiguan model, provided you don't expect this all-space derivative to be among the cheaper choices in the segment, then there's very little not to like here. For the cost of, say, a 5-seat Audi Q5 or a Mercedes GLC, you can get yourself in this 7-seat Volkswagen, a family SUV with almost equal badge quality, but quite a lot more versatility. What's not to like? It's sufficient to run, easy to live with, and practical to own. Other segment alternatives make similar claims, but after trying them following a Tiguan Allspace test drive, you might end up feeling you're prepared to pay just a touch more for Volkswagen ownership. And we'd understand if you did.